Yo, what's going on, and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. And today we are going to be talking about Oceanid, the boss that you're going to have to kill for all of your Hydro character ascension materials. Now, as you can see, Oceanid is up here in the northmost of Liyue. Right here is where Mondstadt starts, and then right here is Oceanid. Once you've unlocked it, there's a little path that leads to this little lake where Oceanid is. And you're going to find this waypoint in there, so that would be the best way to get there. Now, Oceanid is probably the most unique out of all of the elemental bosses because it doesn't have like a mirror boss to it. Like all the hypostasises are like, they look the same, are kind of similar. And then you got the two vines, the Cryo and Pyro vine, which kind of look similar and have similar ideas, but Oceanid is very unique. Now, Oceanid, you're never actually going to fight the physical boss. You're just gonna fight, like, I forget what they're called, like illusions from the boss or something, and that's gonna deal damage to the boss. Now, once you get to the arena, you're gonna look for this puddle. This arena is split into 9 little square platforms, and so the puddle will be in the middle of one of the platforms. Once you approach it, the boss will spawn, and that's Oceanid right up there. So, for Oceanid, I would recommend electric characters, and specifically the range characters as well. Fischl is probably the best character for this because there are certain enemies that only fly, and if you don't have a range character, you are going to struggle at killing them. So, even though my Fischl isn't built, she'll probably put in a little bit of work here. Against all of the range characters, I can just use my other built characters. But you can see these things are a little tough. So if you have ones that just constantly sit in the air, then it could get quite annoying. Now every time you take down one group, it will do a little bit of damage to the boss, and then it'll choose a new square to spawn a group of enemies. This one we got 2 boars. Now electric is really good because these guys are always going to be wet. So that means that electric is just going to bounce in between them, which makes it so valuable. But any effect that works on water is going to work on these guys. It's just electric is the most effective out of all of them. Now this guy keeps healing because he's being a jerk. Now once we get far enough into the fight, Oceanid will pick a platform to get rid of. And I guess it's picking, I think it only picks 2 right now. So you need to finish the fight before it picks all of them, but I don't think it can actually pick all of them. Because it takes like a % of its health every time you kill some of the enemies. So now you can see we have multiple platforms being selected. And they're just like, this is so interesting because these aren't really like enemies that you find in the game anywhere else. So it's kind of cool just to see new enemies that are only found in this boss fight. But you can see we're dealing with them very nicely with Vaporize. We haven't run into the ranged enemies quite yet. And we have taken the boss to half now. Looks like she's going to spawn 2 more sets of enemies. And now would probably be a good time for me to heal. So now you can see that we have the ranged enemies up there in the sky. And the ranged enemies are pretty much impossible for you to deal with if you don't have a ranged thing. They do dive bomb you, which would be a chance to hit them. But other than that, we really need to... Once we get the electric going here from Fischl, lots of damage. And my Fischl has essentially like no gear, and she's still doing that much damage to those. So you can see how important having an electric character could be to actually succeeding in this fight. But yeah, those range guys are really annoying if you don't have a range character, because they stay in the air for a very long time. If you have an ice character, a good solution is to freeze them as they approach the ground, because then you can they'll stay frozen on the ground and you can hit them. But you can just circumvent that by having a good electric character. So we're getting all that electro going in between them. I guess they can walk on the water, so if they leave the actual field of battle, it doesn't matter to them. They're kind of tanky. I haven't done this fight in a while because I don't have a Hydro character. But these things are really tanky. Might be time for some Venti action. Although Venti can't actually suck these guys in. They just seem to like heal a lot too. I haven't experienced this extreme amount of healing that they're bringing to the table. But if we could proc, like, it seems that any elemental procs are what deal major damage to these guys. Because you can see he's kind of just like healing up as I deal damage, but when I get the... Oh my god, he ran away. So I guess we'll just try to shoot him at the moment because he's hiding miles away from the actual fight. And you can't enter the water, so don't think you can run out there and fight him out in his land. You will have to swim, which means you can't deal damage to him. But after we've killed enough phases, we'll finally get to the end of the fight and Oceanid will just fall. There's no like respawn mechanic for Oceanid. It's mostly all of the mobs that heal all the time. But you can see if you can constantly proc elemental effects on them, then they will die a lot quicker. And that's pretty much all there is to Oceanid. It's not a super complex fight, but it can take you some time, especially if you don't have a good lightning character or a good range character. So I would make sure that you bring one of each of those to the table when you're fighting these. But either way, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you found this useful, and I will see you next time.